Hola, buenas noches. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to wait just maybe one more minute just to give a couple of, just to give some time for others to join us. I know it's a tough time in the evening, but we'll see how many more join us. I am recording the meeting too, so just to let people know that this is being recorded. You don't have to show your face. I'll show my face. I'll talk to everyone, but I do like to record the meeting because I know there's a lot of families who want the information but just can't be here tonight. So, I am recording, and we'll just wait maybe one more minute, and then we'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and if you want to give, like a little thumbs up if you can see it, or just let me know, confirm that you can see. I'll share the presentation and go ahead and pull that up. All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Ilea. I see a thumbs up. So I think hopefully everyone can see the screen. All righty, well, it's 6:05, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. And if anyone else joins us, then hopefully they'll jump right on in. A chance to answer questions at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, definitely jot them down or hang on to them to the end, and I'll give you an opportunity to ask me any questions that you want at the end. All right, so this is our annual Immersion and Beyond presentation, and we've been doing this presentation pretty much since we opened the school. It's just an opportunity to share families kind of the next steps that come after Wilmington Bilingual Preschool. And way back when, I think back in 2018, 2019, prior to COVID, we used to do it in person at our school. So we'd have a big group of parents come, and we had a room at our school full of chairs, and the parents would come, and we'd do this at the school. But now times have changed, especially after COVID, and we just do it virtually. So it tends to work a little better. And of course, we can record the presentation and share it with families who weren't able to attend tonight. All right, well, just a little bit about me. I know some of you see me almost every day at our full day school, but we do have other families who don't see me quite as often from our half day school. So I always like to share just a little about me before we get started. My name is Ayadeli, and I'm the director of Wilmington Bilingual Preschool. My passion is Spanish immersion. I absolutely love Spanish immersion. It's an exciting field, and I've just seen the benefits and really power of an immersion education, not, or actually both on a personal level. I have two children who have gone through our preschool who are now in the schools. One is a fifth grader and the other is a second grader. And I've just seen the benefits on a personal level, but also on a professional level. I've seen many students go through our school, and it's just such an exciting field to be a part of. Every day I feel so privileged to be a part of the community, and it's just amazing to watch children come in, to watch them grow and develop and learn and become comfortable in a second language. The majority of our students at our school are English dominant. We do have some Spanish dominant students, but the majority are English dominant. And it's just incredible to watch them come to our school with very little or even no Spanish and leave feeling super comfortable living their day, every day in Spanish, communicating with our teachers, having a great time. And it's just a special thing. But there's also so many benefits that we won't go into in this presentation, but I've seen that on a personal level with my children, but then also I've seen it and heard back from parents who have children who have graduated from our program. So it's really special. The other thing I really love coaching families and just sharing, I guess, the knowledge that I've gained over the years. Again, as a mother with 5 children who have gone through New Hanover County schools, my oldest son is a senior this year in high school, which is crazy. It happened so fast because I still remember when he was in preschool. So I kind of run the gamut. I have a high schooler, I have a middle schooler, and then I have 2 kids in elementary school. Actually, I have 2 high schoolers, a middle schooler, and 2 in elementary school. So I've been a part of New Hanover County schools for quite some time as an educator as well. Back in a little bit of my background, I graduated from UNC Greensboro in 2003. So just a little over 20 years ago. And I majored in Spanish and also got my K through 12 teaching license. So I went to school as a part of the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Program, which is an intense teacher training program. So I was accepted in that program. I chose UNC Greensboro because I knew they had a very strong education program. And in fact, UNC Greensboro wrote a lot of the policy. They wrote the policy that the North Carolina Division of Child Development follows when it comes to quality ratings for licensed child care centers in North Carolina. So a lot of that policy, all of it actually came out of UNC Greensboro. So they have a really strong education program. I went there, graduated in 2003, moved down here to Wilmington. I started teaching high school at Laney High School, aka Michael Jordan's high school. A lot of people know it as that school. Michael Jordan was not there when I was there, though. He graduated, I want to say, in the late 80s, early 90s. So he was not there when I was there, but I did work with some staff members who had taught him. So that was pretty cool. So I was at Laney from 2003 to 2006. And in 2006, my son was born. So after that, I wanted to continue teaching, but I didn't want to teach full time. So that was when I began teaching Spanish at preschools in the Wilmington area. So I did that for years. In 2000, I want to say, 2007, I got my North Carolina Early Childhood credential because I realized that I really love working with the younger kids. I worked with the older ones, the high schoolers, and then I've worked with the preschoolers, and both ages are great. I love them, but there's something about those preschoolers, these little kids, that they just have so much potential when they're so young. So I really love this age. So I began studying more of the preschool age. In 2023, I earned my administrator credential, and I am a North Carolina Level 2 administrator. So there's 3 levels, and I'm working on becoming a Level 3 administrator. Just have a few more classes left for that. So besides all of that, like I said, I'm a mom. I have 5 kids ranging from age 8 to 17. They've all gone through New Hanover County schools. And I've experienced that side of it as well. So I just love coaching families and helping them make the transition from our preschool to whatever the next step is. And there's lots of different directions that people can go. It's not a one size fits all. I like for families to know that you don't have to do, you don't have to leave here and go to a certain school. There's lots of different ways that you can do this. And I've done that with my children. And then I coach and advise families and just kind of use the collective knowledge as well from all the families who've gone through our school. I've been teaching the preschool age in New Hanover County since 2007. So I keep up with a lot of the families and they tell me about their experiences. I even interview some families, and I have a series of YouTube videos that families can watch from previous, graduates of our program, the parents of graduates from our program, who just kind of keep us posted on how their child is doing. So every year I like to add to that. So anyways, I just like to be a resource and make myself a resource for the families at our preschool, and really any family that needs advice. I'm happy to give it. So anytime you have questions, feel free to email me, or even stop and chat with me at the school if you see me at our full day school. So I've got a picture in the corner of 4 of my kids. One of them is missing. We were on a cruise I think it was last spring, and I don't know, my 17-year-old was gone somewhere. But anyways, there's a picture of my other little kiddos and my husband. All right, so let's talk about tonight's presentation. Let's see. Alrighty, so tonight's presentation, we will cover the following topics. First of all, on a basic level, we're going to start from the beginning. We have a lot of families at our school and just in general who are new to New Hanover County, or maybe they've moved here from a different part of the state or a different state altogether, and they really have no idea how kindergarten or school enrollment works in this area. So I like to start with that and just kind of explain to you the process. And then we'll talk about kindergarten options in Southeastern North Carolina, because again, some families are not sure how it works. There's lots of different types of schools. So I'm going to go over all the different types of schools we have: public schools, magnet schools, charter schools. What's the difference between all of those options? We'll talk about how to register for kindergarten. That's a frequent question that I get from families. And then also the big $1 million question: what do I do to continue Spanish for my child after they finish at Wilmington Bilingual Preschool? Because I know the families invested so much in this language immersion education. It is an incredible opportunity, and it's going to be impactful whether you continue with Spanish or not. But of course, there's things that you can do that I'll share with you to keep the Spanish going for your child, because all is certainly not lost once they leave Wilmington Bilingual Preschool. Okay, so the first question: when does my child start kindergarten? People ask me that. Children must turn 5 on or before August 31st, and there are no exceptions to that rule. And that's a big one, because sometimes I have families say, but we literally had happen. But my child turns 5 on September the 1st. Can I still enroll them for kindergarten? The answer is, I've never seen it happen. I have not seen anyone be successful in convincing New Hanover County schools, or really any of the other school systems in the area, to start their child if they are not 5 on or before August 31st. So that is the cutoff. And I guess it's probably due to, I guess, numbers, enrollment. I think they figure, if they start making exceptions, then it might just keep continuing, and people might want to get their child tested, because people have said that. They said, well, can I get my child tested to see if they're mature enough? And it's really not about maturity. It's literally about just their age. How old are they? So if your child turns 5, September, October, November, maybe December, those are going to be the older students in the school system. Why? Because they missed the cutoff. They were not 5 in time, so they had to wait a whole extra year to start kindergarten. So they're going to be the older students in the grade when they start school. And that's very important, because we'll come back to that later. If your child has a June, July, August birthday, then that means they turn 5 just in time, that cutoff. And so they are going to be the younger students in their kindergarten grade. And again, we're going to come back to that, but just sort of keep that in mind. Will your child be an older student, or will they be a younger student? If they have in other months, then they may just kind of be in the middle. But I personally, I had one of my children, I have one August baby. He was born August 22nd. So we were super excited. Yay, he gets to go to kindergarten. We went ahead and enrolled him, and he's done really well. He's a senior this year, super responsible, taking college classes already, trying to get ahead a little bit so we can save on that college tuition. But looking at my other kids who were all September, October, and December babies, I feel like the transition to elementary school was easier for them because they were older. So that's something that you can read on that, and I can kind of guide you on it. And every child is different too, by the way. Sometimes they say boys tend to be a little bit more immature, whereas girls tend to be more mature. So it's better for a boy to be the older child. But anyway, every child is different, and I think it's just kind of take it on a case-by-case basis. But that is the rule, that you have to be 5. Your child has to be 5 on or before August 31st to start kindergarten. Then they can register. Okay, speaking about being older versus younger, there's a question. Should I delay kindergarten for my child? So there's evidence out there that older students, the more mature ones, the ones that have those fall birthdays, because they're almost a year older than some of the other kids, outperform younger students. It's really interesting. Read up on it. There's studies that say the older kids tend to be the sports stars, the valedictorians, when you look at the age, because some of them have that, I guess, that advantage for being more mature. There is also evidence that younger students are more likely to be diagnosed with or evaluated for ADHD or related attention disorder. So do your own research. You can even talk to your pediatrician about it, Google it, read some articles about it. But it's something to consider. I have seen, just in my personal experience, the younger students in the group, when you look at a class, sometimes they are more wiggly, because you know what, the other kids are older, they're more mature, maybe they're ahead a little bit. And so I can see how a teacher might start to, especially if they're not experienced, might start to think that a younger student maybe has difficulties paying attention, when in fact they're just a little bit younger and maybe need a little bit more time to mature. So the question is, for a parent, as a parent, will waiting another year give your child an advantage? That's called redshirting. There's actually a term for it, so you can look that up. But that basically means holding them back an extra year to give them another year to mature. and possibly to excel. We do have families at our school who come to me already with that plan. They tell me, yep, my child has a June, July, August birthday. We're going to be waiting a year. We're not sending them to kindergarten right away. We want to wait a year so they can be older and have that advantage. Some families already know that, and we have a plan for that, and we can help them out of preschool. Another thing to consider is if you're able to, it'll give you another year to save for college. Trust me, it comes around super fast. So I'm looking at that with my own kids with 2 high school. I'm going, oh my goodness. And there's a lot of options nowadays, thank goodness, lots of college classes they can take to save and maybe enter as a sophomore or junior even. But if you're saving for college, holding off one more year could potentially give you more time to save for college. So every situation is different, every family is different, every case is different. Some people really do need to go ahead and get their child into kindergarten, maybe for financial reasons. They're unable to keep paying for preschool. But if you're able to, it's definitely something to consider and something that I'm happy to talk to each family about on an individual basis. All right, so next, what types of kindergartens are there? So there's really 4 types of kindergarten that your child can participate in. And the first one are the public schools. They're the most common. The majority of students do go to public schools in our area in general, and also from our school. The majority of our students do leave and go to public school, although we do have quite a few that go to private and then some that do charter, and then a couple that might do homeschool. But let's start with the public schools. What is a public school? Public schools are free. They don't cost anything, and they are county-based. So it goes by county. Your assignment to your child is based on your address, nothing more. So it's based on where you live, and the school system is going to assign them to a districted school. They're going to say your child is districted to this school. There are families who I known, they'll tell me they bought a house in a specific area so that they could get into a certain public school. There's public schools in the area that are very well known for being great schools. Now, what you base great on can depend from person to person, kind of depends on what you value. Some people look strictly at test scores. They want a school that has very high test scores. If you're looking at test scores, just a couple of schools that I'll throw out there, Wrightsville Beach and Masonboro Elementary tend to have the best test scores in the county. Masonboro used to be called Parsley, but they actually changed the name a couple of years ago. So now it's Masonboro, but those are really great schools as far as the education that they offer. There's other public schools that the test scores aren't as great. There's some where maybe the test scores don't matter as much, or they're just kind of moderate, where the kids, they're diversity. Some parents say to me, I really like the idea of my kid going to a diverse school where there's lots of different types of kids at the school. My personal experience, my kids go to, they've gone to Murrayville and Blair. So I do have personal experience with those 2 schools. They are public schools in Henry County, and I love both of them. I've had wonderful experiences. My Blair and Murrayville's test scores have always been kind of moderate if you look at them on a whole, but there's so much more information there. My kids have always tested super high at the top, at the top of their end of year tests. So they've done great. So I can't say that you can always just look at test scores alone to judge a school. I think parents really need to get in there, maybe talk to other people that are at the school, and also kind of how involved you are with your child. I think that might have a little bit more to do with, with your child's outcome than just looking at all the test scores for the school. There's just a lot of things to consider there, but I would say if all of the test scores are terrible at the school, then that might be a little bit of a warning sign. But if there's a variation, then that means that some kids are doing great and the school maybe is recognizing the kids that need to be challenged, and maybe some children are just having a harder time because of other circumstances that don't necessarily have to do with the school. Now, within public schools, you have 3 different types. You have traditional schools start at the end of August, and they run on a 9-month schedule. So they run from August to May, maybe the first week of June. So that's a traditional school year, and then they're closed during the summer. So that's the school that most of us remember from when we were young. You go to school for 9 months, and then they're closed over the summer. Within the public schools, there's also a couple of other options. There are year-round public schools. You can apply. There's 2 in New Hanover County. One is called Coddington, and it's more for the southern end of the county. And then the other one is Eaton, and that's kind of on the northern end of the county. So when you're applying to the schools, filling out registration for your child, if you're interested in the year-round schools, you do have to apply for that, and they're going to draw names and get in for the lottery. Why would some parents want year-round school? Year-round schools, how they is that your child attends for 9 weeks, and then they take usually a 3-week vacation. And they also have, I think, a summer vacation as well. So some families like that. Some families like the idea of their child getting a little break and not just going through the school year, but also they're continuing in the summer, so they're not losing out on all the knowledge that they've gained throughout the school year. So there is some evidence that suggests that students don't retain, or they start to lose some of the knowledge that they've learned over the summer. So with year-round school, the kids are there all year, but they do take those 3-week vacations, usually in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, and then the summer. I think there's like a 6-week long vacation, and they start back up in July. Some families like that schedule, maybe for travel, if you love to travel, which is also really important, especially if we're talking about continuing the Spanish immersion. Some of our families love to go to Spanish-speaking countries with their child. I know you can get really great deals if you travel in the fall and the spring. So some families really like that year-round schedule. It fits better for them. But you do just have to plan for those 3-week breaks that are going to happen. And then the final category within the public schools would be magnet schools. Magnet schools are schools that are part of the public school system, but you also have to those. They are lottery based, they draw names, and they're specialty schools. So for example, Gregory International is one of the magnet schools. They do Spanish English immersion there. Another one is the Rachel Freeman School of Engineering. So they kind of have a focus on STEM and engineering there. I want to say there's Snipes Academy of Arts and Design. So it's kind of an artistic magnet school. So if you're interested in any of the specialty areas, your child can apply to a magnet school. We also have some high school magnet schools that you can look at as your child gets older. We have some great options in New Hanover County for students just to, explore different areas or to get ahead a little bit. So all of those are within the public schools, and they are free, but they are county-based. So if you live in Hampstead or Leland, you cannot apply to get into any of the public schools in New Hanover County. It's strictly based on your address. The only exception to that might be if you're a teacher. From what I understand, if you're a teacher in New Hanover County schools, but you live in another county, but you drive here and teach, then you are allowed to opt in to have your child attend school in your area in New Hanover County. So that's kind of a benefit, a benefit and a bonus of teaching with the school system. So those are the 3 different types of schools within the public school system. Note that when I say there's a lottery, that means they draw names, and you might get in, you might not. Some are easy to get into, and the others, I know Coddington and Eaton, both of the year-round schools, are pretty hard to get into. I actually tried, gosh, how many years ago was it? Maybe 12 years ago. My son was going to kindergarten. I put my name on the list for Eaton Elementary because I kind of was interested in the magnet school and the year-round school concept, and we did not get drawn. So unfortunately, we didn't get into that, but so I just went ahead and they went to the Murrayville, which is where we were districted, and I had a great experience. So I'm super happy. One thing too, if your child does get into the lottery-based school, either a magnet school or year-round school, all of their younger siblings, so any other children in your family, are guaranteed a spot. So they do give them the first spot. They let them enroll first. They're kind of guaranteed, I guess you could say. So once one child gets in, all the rest get in too. All right, so the next type of school that we have are private schools. Private schools are tuition-based. That means that families pay the tuition for that school. Some of them may have scholarships, but generally speaking, parents will pay the tuition for those schools. And there are a number of private schools in the area. Charter schools are also free schools. However, they're not part of the county public school system. Charter schools are publicly funded, but they're open application. They're not county-based, so anyone can apply. And charter schools tend to be themed. Some of them have different areas that they focus on. But there are quite a few charter schools, and more popping up every year, I think, in the area. So we'll go into a little bit more detail about the charter schools, but they are, anyone from any county can apply. And then there's homeschool. I'll say, homeschool's a viable option. And actually, more and more I hear the numbers of homeschoolers are going up for many different reasons. There's all sorts of reasons for that. But some families do homeschool. And one thing that's interesting, because we've had homeschool families, for instance, send their child to our school 2 or 3 days a week, just so they can continue to get some exposure to other kids and peers and Spanish, but then the families do the rest of their education at home. We've had homeschoolers participate in our after school program. So I'm definitely familiar with homeschoolers. I even homeschooled a little bit my kids before I enrolled them in elementary school, because I just love teaching and I love teaching them. And when they were little, I had a lot of kids. All my kids are 2 years apart. So at one point I had just a mini full of car seats. And so for a little while, I did teach them at home while I also taught Spanish on the side. So one thing I know about the homeschool communities, there tend to be lots of support groups for people who want that. Some people aren't interested They just want to kind of do their own thing, travel. Some people travel, so that's why they like homeschool. But for people who want that support group, I know there's several homeschool groups in the community that you can become a part of. And some of them are religious based, others aren't religious based, or just homeschool groups for families that want to do their own thing and create their own curriculum for their child. There's also quite a few homeschool curriculums nowadays, especially after COVID. There are lots of curriculums came about, some are online. I've heard about all kinds of options for that. Okay, so traditional schools, just really quick, a few things about the traditional schools. Again, I'm going to break down each area and give you a little bit more detail about all of the different options. Traditional schools are county-based. They are, again, based on your address. They run late August to early June. Summers are off. What time do the kids have to be at school? That's a big question. Parents ask me, hey, what time do I have to start getting up? When your child starts kindergarten, if they're going to the New Henry County schools, it's at 7:50, but guess what? They changed it this year. It's 7:45. So definitely start working it back in August. If your child is going to kindergarten, you need to start getting up early over the summer because they do have to be there by 7:45. The bell rings. First bell rings at 7:40. That's the warning bell. Second bell's at 7:45. And if they're not in, you have to do the walk of shame and go sign them in. So definitely so start working on that. The schools get out at 2:50. So some families do need aftercare, especially if you're a working family. You may need an after-school program if you're not able to take your child home at 2:50. Traditional schools tend to have larger class sizes, varying between 14 to 24 students per class. I've seen it just kind of runs the gamut. It depends on the school. Traditional schools vary in quality. It usually correlates, the quality tends to correlate with the socioeconomic status of the student base. And that's just one of those things, usually. But you can look into whatever school you're districted for. If you the New Hanover County Schools website, or even Pender County Schools or Brunswick County, you should be able to put your address in, or you can call if you're having a hard time finding it, and they'll let you know based on your address what school your child is districted for, and you can research that school and see what you think of it. Okay, year-round schools. We already talked about those a little bit. I named the two, Coddington, Eaton, the schedules. There is a calendar available online on the New Henry County Schools website if you'd like to see exactly which weeks they're closed throughout the year. But again, some of the benefits are better retention of information. Families like the schedule, but it is lottery based. However, there's a sibling guarantee. Magnet schools. Let's talk about those. Magnet schools are part of the public school system that I mentioned back with New Hanover County Schools. We have the specialty schools that I mentioned, Rachel Freeman School of Engineering, Snipes Academy of Design, Gregory International, and the magnet schools are also lottery-based. Private schools are tuition fee based. Private schools, one thing to keep in mind is I don't believe they do lotteries. They tend to accept applications. They have an application process and they read through the application. I know because I've gotten applications for kindergarten or first grade private schools for some of our students, and pretty much every time they send me an application, fill out, talking about the student's strengths and weaknesses. If the student gets along with other students, they also sometimes ask about the families, if the family is supportive, or if the family has ever complained or had an issue. So the private schools are they're able to accept or deny students based on their criteria, however they want to. Just some examples of private schools in the area that you may have heard of: Wilmington Christian Academy, the Friends School of Wilmington, New Horizons Elementary School. They seem like really nice people. They actually dropped by our school a couple of times with flyers. St. Mary's and St. Mark, Cape Fear Academy, Peace Rose Montessori. Also, our Wilmington Bilingual Preschool technically is a private school because we are tuition based and we do have a kindergarten program. Private schools also vary in quality. I think something that people should know. And one of the things to keep in mind about private schools is that really your decision to send your child to one depends on your personal values. What is it that you're looking for? Some people like the prestige. There are some schools that carry a lot of prestige. There are some that are very expensive. Some people like that. Some maybe are religious based and people want to get that religious component. Other people may be character based. I know, for example, the Friends School of Wilmington is very strong on character. That's something that they teach the kids more so than I guess you could say academics. That comes too, but they're really strong into character. And for some people, that's really important, making sure their child is a good person who cares about others, who cares about the earth. So it just depends on what you value and why you want to send your child to private school, but that's also an option that's available for kindergarten. But they do tend to have an application process. And of course, our school is included in that. If you're wanting Spanish immersion, private Spanish immersion, then that would be an option that you could look into with our kindergarten. Okay, charter schools. Moving on to charter schools. What are they? They are publicly funded. They are free. They're open to everyone. They tend to be lottery based. You can be in any county. Charter schools tend to be themed. So one charter school, here's a couple of examples from our area. Island Montessori. Anyone can apply to that school. It's a charter school, but you do have to, they do have a lottery. Cape Fear Center for Inquiry. That's another great charter school that I've heard good things about. Glow Academy for Girls, Wilmington School of the Arts, LA Coastal, Charter Day School, the Douglas Academy. A big warning about charter schools, though, again, do your research because some are wonderful, some are amazing, and then others I would not recommend at all. And I go by a variety of things, but some the test scores are really, really poor. Others, I've talked to parents who leave our school who maybe try some charter schools and they have different experiences. Some love them and then some don't have a great experience and find out that they actually are happier at a public school. So it varies. Talk to people, go visit if you're considering one, and just do your research on that. Okay, so moving along, how do I register for kindergarten? So let's talk about New Hanover schools because again, the majority of our students do go to the New Hanover County school system. So registration starts on March 1st. That's coming up soon. So if your child meets that requirement of being 5 years old on or before August 31st, you can register. The kindergarten packets go home. They've actually started sending those home already, but you really don't have to have a packet nowadays. Everything is virtual and it's online. So you just go to nhcs.net enrollment, and that's where you'll start the process. And they will ask for information like, I think I want to say they ask for parents' driver's license. They want a form of ID. They want to know your address, and it has to be something like a mortgage statement. So just be prepared with all that information. It's pretty extensive, the information they ask for. Reason being, they don't want people trying to sneak and come from other counties to apply. So they're pretty strict on who can apply and making sure that you are your child's guardian. But that starts March the 1st. The school locator on the website will tell you what school your child will attend. So if you're wanting to apply for one of the magnet schools, or for example, Gregory International, a lot of our families want to go to Gregory because it's Spanish immersion. You would go online, you would apply as usual for New Hampshire County schools and apply for your regular school, but then there's an option where they say, are there any magnet schools that you want to be included in the lottery for, or year-round schools? So you would just click any that you want to be in the lottery for, and then that way they'll put you in the lottery. When it comes to lottery-based schools, I have found that usually, at least with Gregory, if you apply on the first round of the first lottery, then most of our families tend to get in. Of course, it depends on how many kids apply. So we don't know how many students will be applying this year to Gregory International. So, if it's the same as always, then most of the kids who apply the first time will get in. But if we have a huge influx of kids from other areas, maybe moving into the area, maybe more kids apply, maybe it's a little bit more difficult, but definitely go ahead and apply as soon as you can. Okay, so another question that I get from families, how do we continue Spanish immersion after Wilmington Bilingual Preschool? So really, one of the ways to do it, really the only way to continue it long-term in an academic environment, structured environment, would be Gregory International. Gregory International is a K-8 magnet school in New Hanover County. It's downtown. They've been doing tours in February, and also I think they might do maybe a couple in March, I'm not sure, but I sent out the schedule to all of our pre-K2 students because pre-K2 is our last class before kindergarten for most of our kids. So Gregory International is the option. It's kindergarten through 8th grade. They do Spanish and English. So every day the children they have a lesson. They have half of their day is in Spanish and half of the day is in English. So they're getting both languages every day with the goal of every child being bilingual and biliterate, meaning they can speak and write in Spanish and English. Gregory tends to, one thing I've noticed, first of all, they have, your child will have 2 teachers. So they'll have a Spanish speaking teacher that they do their Spanish lessons with. they'll have an English speaking teacher that they do their English lessons with, but they're learning all of the different subjects in both languages. So they're learning math in Spanish and English. So their teachers teach them both languages. So they alternate. One thing I've noticed about Gregory, they try to keep it balanced. They try to keep each class balanced with about approximately half of the students to be English dominant and half to be Spanish dominant. And that's because they want dominant children present on when they're having their English classes. They want the English speaking students to be able to speak up and I guess be examples to the students who maybe are Spanish dominant, and vice versa. So when they're having their Spanish lessons, they have some students who are native Spanish speakers as well. So that's just one thing. I have heard that they tend to have more English dominant kids apply, and that if your child is Spanish dominant, if you say that they are in the application, that you have a better chance of getting in. That's what I've heard. I can't verify that because I don't know, but that is what I've been told, just that more English dominant kids apply. So they try to get more Spanish speaking kids. So just kind of keep that in mind. So that's Gregory. That would be probably the best way, because your child will continue to get Spanish kindergarten through 5th grade. They even do 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I've heard that they add on Mandarin Chinese for middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grades. That's pretty neat that they get to have a third language. So far, I've had really great feedback from people who have gone to Gregory. A lot of them are very happy. They love it. They like the diversity. They like the program. And of course, they love the fact that their child is able to continue with Spanish. Now, some private and charter schools offer Spanish in elementary school and also middle school. I know that there's a middle school called WASP, and what does it stand for? Wilmington. I cannot remember what it stands for, but I've heard good things about that it's a middle school charter school, I think. And I know they have Spanish there. A lot of some of the middle schools the public schools have Spanish. All of the high schools offer Spanish, so that is a good thing. Just one quick little anecdote about that. So my daughter, she's 15. She's a 9th grader at Laney High School. She's in the honors program there, and she just completed her first year of Spanish. So I was super excited for her. She did not attend our Spanish immersion preschool, Wilmington Bilingual Preschool, because it wasn't around when she was little. So, but she always was kind of around Spanish with me. She used to go with me to Spanish classes, and so she's heard Spanish. She works at the preschool in the summers in the toddler class. So anyway, she took Spanish this last semester, the fall semester, and she did awesome. She got a 100 in the class. So I was super proud of her for that. But she kept telling me, she's like, so many of these kids don't know anything. You know, some of the kids really struggled with it. And I reviewed her work because I actually used to teach Spanish level 1 and 2 at Laney High School. I was the department head for Spanish 1 at Laney. So I know a lot of the material. I was looking through it and I was like, wow, this is tough stuff. It's hard stuff. A lot of verb conjugations, a lot of, context, having to answer all the questions and choose the right verb conjugated right with the right vocabulary. So I was pretty impressed with the complexity of the class, but she breezed right through it. So that made me feel good. She's really enjoying Spanish. And so even though she didn't have as much Spanish as my younger 2 children who did go through Wilmington Bilingual Preschool, I think just being around it, she was able to pick up and do really well and excel in high school. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, but I know she'll go through all 4 levels of Spanish at high school. If your child is going to apply, I know this is a long ways off, but if your child is going to apply for college, to attend college in North Carolina, it is a requirement to have 2 levels of the same foreign language. So you to have level 1 and 2 of Spanish, for example, or if they offer something else, French, you have to have level 1 and 2 of French. Most schools offer at least Spanish, but that is a requirement, a minimum requirement. When I went to her AIG meeting in high school, they were telling us that some of the Ivy League schools now, such as Duke, are requiring 3 semesters of Spanish. So the basic requirement is 2, but some other schools are requiring 3 now. And there's also a special endorsement that your child can get when they graduate from high school. There's 5 different endorsements they can get for different areas, like excelling academically. But one of the endorsements now that they offer on the diplomas in North Carolina for high school is a foreign language endorsement. And that is reserved for students who take, I believe it's 4 semesters of 4 levels of a foreign language in high school. So if they take and of course pass 4 levels of a foreign language, then they get that special endorsement on their certificate when they graduate on the diploma. And of course, all of this can help them when it comes to getting into certain colleges, if that's what they want to do. So so definitely, it's even if you leave Wilmington Bilingual Preschool and go to an English language elementary school, they can take Spanish in high school. Okay, what other options do we have for keeping up with Spanish? We at Wilmington Bilingual Preschool have 2 after-school programs. We have a part-time after school at our Spartan Road School, and it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maestra Mary teaches that, and she absolutely loves it. She does an amazing job. Those kids last year at the end of the year, they did a puppet show in Spanish, but they continue. So they continue and they kind of do our kindergarten curriculum. But also for more advanced kids, she'll do different activities. So, for example, my daughter's in 5th grade, my second daughter, and this is her last year doing the after school program, which just breaks my heart. But this last year, Mary had her doing advanced reading activities in Spanish, and her level's pretty high in Spanish because she's been doing it for so long since she went to Wilmington Bilingual Preschool. But this year, she's going as Maestra Mary's helper, so she kind of helps Maestra Mary out with the other kids. But they practice reading and writing in Spanish. They practice conversation, and then they also do fun things. They have fun too because it's after school. So we don't want to just push academic, but they have fun. They do fun activities. They do their art. They do some small groups with Mary. They go play outside. They have a snack. So that is 2 days a week. Parents can go 1 or 2 days a week. They can do it every Tuesday and every Thursday, or just Tuesdays or just Thursdays. The only thing with that program is there is not transportation provided, so you would either need to carpool or provide transportation for your child. But it's a wonderful program. I know Maestra Mary is hoping to get even more kids in that program next year. So definitely let me know. Your child does have to be in kindergarten, at least a kindergartner, to be in the after school program on Spartan Road. On College Road, we have a full-time after school program every day. We pick up from Gregory International because we have students that go there. So we pick them up, bring them to our College Road School, and they do activities. They do activities, and some of them do homework if they want to. They have a snack, they play outside, and the teacher just works with them. A lot of parents use that program as kind of a convenience thing because maybe they have little siblings who are at Wilmington Bilingual Preschool. So when we pick their older sibling up who's now at Gregory, we bring them to the school. Parents only have to do one pickup. They don't have to try to get down to Gregory and then somehow come back to our school. So it really helps them with convenience. And it's in Spanish, so it's a way for them just to continue with that Spanish exposure. Let's see, we have our summer camp. We have an amazing summer camp that I think I might have a slide about that to tell you more about it, but we have the best summer camp. Families tell us that their kids love our summer camp more than anyone that they've tried. Our summer camp, the full-time summer camp at the College Road location, is for kindergarten through 4th grade. The students go on field trips. We have different themes every week. We call it Spanish Adventures Camp. So if you want more information about that, you can check the website. But the kids absolutely love it. They do arts and crafts. They get to go see different places. They do a lesson every day in Spanish. So it's a really wonderful program. And we offer that in the summertime. And that is a full-time camp. We also offer half-day camp for kindergartners and first graders. That's at our half-day school. At our half-day school, because we integrate them in with the older preschoolers, I think probably after kindergarten is the last year I would recommend it. Maybe first grade if they really love. Sometimes they really love coming back to the half-day school. They love Maestra Mary. They want to see her. So we do have some of our kids who have graduated come back for half-day summer camp as well at Spartan Road. But the full-day summer camp is at College Road. Some people hire tutors for their child, nannies who are Spanish speaking, or au pairs. We've definitely had that. We've seen that a lot at our school, where you'll have someone from another country come in and live with the family. So that's an option. Travel, we have some families who will go and do travel experiences for child in Spanish. I know that Costa Rica is a popular destination for that. But we even have one mom who put together, she put together a trip to Mexico. And with that trip, the parents, I think, got to do like spa days during the day, and the kids got to go to an actual school in Mexico with other kids, Mexican kids. So they did that last year, I want to say. And then some kids went back and did it another year. It's been 2 years that she's done that. I have another mom who took her daughter to Costa Rica last year. She was one of our graduates, and she found a program down there where the families in the morning, I think it's like a Spanish class for the child in the morning, and then the afternoons, the whole family does excursions together. And she sent me pictures, and it looked so amazing. So actually, I'm working with that mom. I told her we have to try to plan something like that for the preschool, because I think that'll be a wonderful thing to offer as a group for our families. So that's something that we're looking into. But then besides that, there are apps, there's YouTube, there's self-study. Quick little note about my kids. So my two youngest, my 8-year-old and my 11-year-old Molly, they're 2nd and 5th grade. They go to Blair, and they've been doing Duolingo. So they do go to our after-school program with Maestra Mary, and that's been a way for them to maintain their Spanish, but also they do Duolingo. But the funny thing is they've been doing Duolingo in other languages. So Molly is learning German and Reese is doing French. And they love they like that app. They like the little games, little medals they can earn or whatever they earn on there. But they chose probably just kind of oh, we've already done Spanish, we want to do another language. But it's fascinating to me that they kind of seem to have an interest in language. So that was what they wanted to learn. And Reese even just went to a birthday party this weekend. His best friend in school is a little boy who speaks French. His dad is from France. So it's the craziest thing. And I just feel like, they have that awareness of other languages. They're aware. They have a global awareness. And I can't help but wonder if that came from having come to our preschool all of these years. They understand the idea of languages and want to learn more. Okay, let's see. I've got a couple more slides here. I think I already kind of got ahead of myself, and I think I talked about Gregory International a little bit, but Gregory International, if you're interested in that, it is for New Hanover County residents only. And I feel really bad because I know we have sometimes Hampstead families or Leland families, but I don't know, get a house in Wilmington or get an address in Wilmington, but that's the only way. Or talk to Pender County or Brunswick County Schools and try to talk them into opening up and starting a language immersion program. They're popping up everywhere, so you never know. They might be interested in that. Transportation is provided, so if you live all the way in Porter's Neck, it doesn't matter where you live in the county, Gregory, they will provide transportation for your child, but a lot of parents do just drive their child down there. I think we talked about how it's lottery based. They're doing tours there. You can call and do a tour now. They do like a free trial lesson. You apply in March. It is the best option for consistent exposure to Spanish. And one thing I will tell you, our Wilmington Bilingual Preschool students usually excel at Gregory. Why? Because the majority of the kids who are going to Gregory didn't have a Spanish background. So I've had parents tell me, oh yeah, they got to Gregory and they do great. It's easy. I've even had parents telling me just the past couple of weeks, they're oh, we went to the trial lesson at Gregory and the Wilmington Bilingual Preschool kids were the ones raising their hands and answering all the questions they really knew and they have confidence. So that's one thing that I love. Our kids have been exposed to Spanish, some of them since they were 1 year old, even ones that came here recently, that joined our program maybe when they were 3 or 4. They tend to have that confidence because they've already been exposed to Spanish. So it's really fun and exciting to see that. Okay, let's talk really briefly about our Wilmington Bilingual Preschool Kindergarten. We do offer a kindergarten and an advanced pre-K2 class. And this is a great option for students who maybe have those summer birthdays. So let's say your child maybe turns 5 just before the cutoff. So they're turning 5 in August. So maybe you're not ready to send them to kindergarten. Maybe you'd like to give them an extra year to grow and mature. Our kindergarten is a wonderful option because they learn, we focus on just going down the list here. It is still 100% Spanish immersion, so it gives them another year of Spanish. Our hours, they are 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., or if you want to do the extended day option, it's until 5:30 p.m. We have small classes. So that's one thing that I love. Our kindergarten isn't more than 13 kids. And we have a focus on literacy. So the kids in our kindergarten work on letter sounds, learning how to read, Spanish sight words, reading words in Spanish, vocabulary building, writing. It integrates kindergarten math and standard course of study goals. So that's where we from the things that they would learn in any other kindergarten that's with the public schools that does the standard course of study. We do that as well. We're just doing it in Spanish. It gives them another year to grow mature, and then students can also, with our kindergarten, the majority of our students do kindergarten and then they go off to kindergarten wherever they're districted for or whatever school they've chosen. However, some of our kids, and my daughter did this, she did our kindergarten because she had a September birthday and then she went straight to first grade. They will test your child if you try to skip first grade and say the public schools because she was already old enough, but I just wanted her to stay with us and do kindergarten another year. So I did have her tested and she was able to test into first grade, but I did have to teach her at home. I was teaching her how to read in English. So that way, when she went to English speaking first grade, she was able to test into that. But if your child is going to do our kindergarten and then just go to another kindergarten, they have no problem at all. There's no testing required. Just sign your child up for the next kindergarten. They can do that. But we do have some families who use our kindergarten kind of as a gap year to extend their child's exposure to Spanish before they go off to English speaking school. Maybe they're going to do like my kids and go to Blair where they don't have Spanish immersion. And that was just a personal decision that I made because sometimes people ask me, you send your kids to Gregory? Well, it was a personal decision because, like I said, it's not one size fits all. I would have loved to go to Gregory, but I already had 3 kids on this end of the county plus the 2 preschools. So I felt like adding Gregory, which is all the way downtown, for my family just wasn't practical. And I realized that it just wasn't going to work for us. So you do have to be realistic, and consider your personal tolerance, your stress levels, all of that matters. And I know some families who would love to go to Gregory, but they live right beside a wonderful elementary school or right across the street from a wonderful elementary school, and they think about all the travel and whatnot. So you have to decide what's best for you. But anyways, there's different options out there. You just have to kind of take a look at everything. Okay, summer camp. We talked about the summer camp already, so I'm not going to go over that, but our schools are open all year round. So sometimes people ask, are you guys open in the summer? We are. Most of our children continue throughout the summer. Some take the summers off, but we have all sorts of fun activities. We have water play days. You can see the pictures in the top corner. We have different themes, fun themes over the summer. And we even have gardening. So we have a beautiful garden at Spartan Road. I'm working on trying to get we don't have as much space at the College Road for gardening, but we're working on getting maybe some raised beds in there that we can plant in. But anyways, we have so much fun over the summer. So we're there all year round. And by the way, these pictures, I want to say no AI generated images here. All of the pictures and our presentation are real pictures from our kids at both of our preschools. So we love that. We love sharing with families some of the fun things that we do. All right, let's see. Summer camp full day. I think I talked about that already. College Road School, amazing. And we do offer priority enrollment to our summer camp to current students and their siblings. So we do that. People start calling me in December, ready to sign up for summer camp. So our summer camp usually is full by mid-February. And sure enough, it's pretty much full already. Because it's just really competitive summer camps in the area. I think people are just super eager and want to go ahead and enroll. But the kids have such a great time. They do Fiesta Fridays where they get to go eat at a Mexican restaurant. And each Friday we go to different Mexican restaurants in Wilmington, and they have to practice using their Spanish. I think in the picture there at Aromas de Peru, it's not just Mexican restaurants. I shouldn't say that, but a Spanish themed restaurant. So Aromas de Peru is amazing. They have the best roasted chicken in Wilmington, I think. So we take the kids there. They can have Peruvian food, Mexican food. There's a couple other places that we go to as well. So it's just a great time. And then they go to other field trips too and are able to maintain their Spanish. Okay, whoops, I think I skipped a slide. Let's see if I can get back. Well, okay, there we go. Afternoon school. We talked about that already, afternoon school. That's the half-day school on Spartan Road that Maestra Mary teaches. All right, after school on College Road, I believe we talked about that. So I got ahead of myself. But it really helps families that, like I said, go to Gregory and want us to pick their child up and bring them to College Roads. And we do that Monday through Friday. All right, so one thing that I wanted to mention to you before I wrap things up and open up for questions, on our YouTube channel, we have parent alumni interviews. And this is something that I started doing, and I really love it. Every year I try to add at least one more family. So these are families who have graduated, or not they, but their child has graduated from Wilmington Bilingual Preschool. I interview them and I ask them, hey, how's it going? What's your child been up to since they left? What do you think? Did our school help them in their journeys? And last year, the most recent one that I did was this one. I feel like something's, I don't know if one of them, oh, here, the Fanador family. The Fanador family, they are amazing. They're actually our very first family at our preschool from 2017. Their daughter was with they were in the class, but the Fanadors, I interviewed them last year because they had a child at Gregory International. So they're able to kind of give you some information about Gregory International. I have a family that I'm hoping to interview this year that I'll let you know when that interview's up. But they are a really special family for us because they've had 3 children that go through our school. Their oldest is with my daughter, started with my daughter, Molly, and they're both in 5th grade now, getting ready to go to middle school. So they've done their whole elementary school having graduated from our preschool. So they have a neat perspective, and I think everything we've offered at our preschool, whether it's after school, the kindergarten, half-day school, full-day school, they participate in it. So they're a wonderful family. I'm hoping to add them as my new family for this year. But you can go to our YouTube channel to go and see some of the families that I've interviewed in the past, and just find out, how things are going, and they give you some perspectives and also some tips on, I guess, the next stage in your child's journey. Okay, well, I think that is it for my presentation. So what I'm going to do is I will open up for questions. If anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to speak right on up and I'll answer those. And let's see. Oh, I'm clicking buttons. Does anyone have a question that you'd like to answer?
Hey, Ayodele, that was awesome. It's Aaron and Lee, but just want to say we really appreciated the information, and that was a great overview.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate that. We love your kids. Thanks. Thanks for joining us tonight. Did I do such a great job that nobody has any questions?
If you apply to kindergarten, are there can you apply to multiple places at the same time, or do you only apply to one particular school? And if not, you default back to the school you're assigned to based on your address? And I've also heard before that you can kind of go to any school in the county if you drive your kid there, and that you sort of like circumvent the whole process. Is that true, or could you speak to that a little bit?
Okay, so if we're speaking about New Hanover County Public Schools, is that what we're speaking about?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's part of the New Hanover County Public School system, you do have to go to the school that you're districted for. Every now and then they'll have a couple of schools that are open enrollments. That might be what you're referring to. And a parent actually told me about that, I think last year. She said, well, we are districted to X school, this particular school, but there's another school that had low enrollment this year. And so they actually told us because they had low enrollment, and it could be because there weren't as many people living in the area, I don't know. It just had low enrollment, so they actually opened up enrollment to other people in the county. And so she said that school was actually closer to where we lived, because sometimes the way they draw these lines is so funny. So that school, she was able to apply to the open enrollment school and yes, drive her child to that school, which wasn't very far, versus the school that they were districted for. And by the way, the school that you're districted for, it's based on your address, but it's not necessarily the school that's closest to your house, because they draw these lines in very funny ways, and sometimes they redistrict. So my first 3 kids went to Murrayville because we were districted for there. We didn't move. We didn't change. We were in the house, but then we got a letter in the mail in the spring saying that we were going to be redistricted to Blair Elementary School for the next fall. So my last 2 children went to Blair. So I don't know how they draw these lines sometimes, but anyways, if a school does open up their enrollment, then you could theoretically, yes, you could apply to that school and drive there. Now, as far as applying to different multiple schools on the application, like if you wanted to apply to a magnet school and also like a lottery-based school like Gregory, I think you can. And if you don't get into any of them, it'll just default back to the school that your child is districted for, if that makes sense. So I hope I answered that. But
Yes, thank you. That was helpful.
okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate having an audience, because I don't mind talking to myself, but it's a lot more fun to actually talk to people. So thank you for coming tonight. It was great having you all. I know this is a tough time, but I appreciate it. And to all of our families who are watching at home, the offer always stands. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime, whether it's via email or in person. I'm happy to help you out and your child's journey. So thanks again for being here, for being a part of the school, and have a great night. Adios.
Adios.